Hello and welcome back to the show. It is time for us to interview a very special, phenomenal young woman. Her name is Gusi Lordwilliams. She's the founder of Girl Hub Africa that has spread its tentacles beyond Lagos to different parts of Nigeria. They're focused on equipping women, teaching them skill acquisition, and also helping them to be volunteers and to see that volunteering is actually the life of service. Joining us today to speak to us about Project 22 and everything volunteering is our guest, Gusi Lordwilliams. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having me.
you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so Toby is a professional volunteer and you have been doing this for the longest time.
Yes, I have.
Did you volunteer for the last events we just watched, the Lagos Tourism Summit?
I was there. That's what I was telling you on Monday, yes.
Brilliant. Like, we go to every event and you definitely see Toby and her team, or Toby or her team volunteering.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us about this volunteering journey. How did it start?
Okay, my parents, like I always say this in most of the interviews I go, so my parents exposed me and my sisters early enough to volunteer. It was not volunteering, they called it though. It was just, you people should go and learn something, you people should go and help all the time. And my friends kept on saying, Wasabi, your mom is just pushing into Wasabi. But my mom realized that when we go and help, we gain something in return. Not because they give you money or biscuits. That experience, you learn something meaningful to your life, so you can use it eventually. So I developed that skill, and when I got to school, I started volunteering for social clubs, and it was easy for me because I just realized that some things you want to do in life, it's not about what they taught you in school, but because of what I have learned while I volunteered, that's how I was able to scale through some kind of thing. So I really wanted to expose more people to this volunteering.
Now, over 1,000 youths have also benefited from Girl Hub Africa and everything that you are doing. First of all, that must feel great. But secondly, what sort of skill acquisition do you particularly tap into with the young women that you train?
Okay, so we have different levels and different people we train on skill acquisition. So we have, first of all, we have the teenagers. That's people that are just finishing secondary school. And then we also have the young adults, those like the 23, the fresh graduates. Now for the teenagers, we start teaching them basic skills that can help them, vocational skills like makeup, fashion designing, carpentry for the guys, even for the girls that want to learn carpentry too. We train them on those basic vocational skills because we know, okay, eventually they can use these skills and make money for themselves, for those that don't go to school. That's for those in the low-income homes. And for the adults, we teach them the social media skills, the PR skills, the basic communication skills, something that will help them in their day-to-day life, and especially in their workplaces, because you realize some people don't have basic etiquettes for working. They don't even have it. So we train them on those things. So when they go out and work eventually, they know that, okay, well, I'm equipped. I know I have this skill, so I'm not bothered.
All right,
amazing.
Give us a little background into what you do.
Okay.
You know, we know there's no course in Nigeria called volunteering for now. So what did you
We're trying
study?
to create that, the National
Oh, really?
Volunteering Directorate, something like that. But we'll get there someday.
Brilliant. So what did you do, or what did you study in school?
Oh, I studied law in the University of Benin.
Have you gone to law school yet?
No, not yet, the end of this year.
You're going to law school this year.
can't
How do you plan to strike a balance with law school and Girl Hub Africa when you're gone?
Girl Hub Africa is structured enough that we now have like a body that organizes and does all the counseling and organizing of all the things we do. So even if I'm not there, Girl Hub Africa can run itself.
Well, you can have it all at the same time. You can have it all. So
True.
I'm pretty sure you're going to do a great job.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so now let's talk about the projects you've worked on in the past. Give us an insight or a window into some of the events you've worked for, and in what capacity have you worked?
We've worked in various capacities. Basically, what we do for events is when you want us to volunteer for you, so we don't just do the on-site volunteering. Volunteering encompasses a lot for us. So we start from helping you plan. That's where our volunteers that want to be event planners, they get to learn event planning too and coordination. And then we go to online PRing. We help you PR for free for your events, especially those that promote good things, those that are creating awareness. Like when I watched your show, Hello Nigeria, I saw the lady from Epilepsy Nigeria. That's how I knew about it. And I reached out to her. She was like, oh, come on board. And we helped them promote their events, and we attended on site. And then after, that's post-event, we also help you promote and create more awareness about what you're doing.
And how is Girl Hub Africa being funded? Because I see you at events and you have shirts, all of you have shirts, and these ladies transport themselves, and in some cases you even give them certificates. Do you give them certificates all the time?
Most of the times we require certificates because I realized when I personally apply for scholarships or these fundings or fellowships, they would always ask, okay, have you volunteered before? Show a proof or something. That's the proof that you have done something. If you don't have a certificate, maybe you have a picture, anybody can take a picture, but a certificate proves that, okay, certifies you that you actually volunteered for that organization. So most times, we require a certificate for the services that we render.
So how do you fund it, basically?
Funding has not been easy so far. My parents have done like 30% of the funding of GHA, and within ourselves, we just tax ourselves and we just do these things. But we're working towards partnerships with our partners, and we hope to get something good out of that soon.
Well, little by little, and at the end of the day, volunteering definitely reduces systemic oppression in Africa. True. So what you're doing is great. Now, do you particularly look into systemic oppression and say, okay, these are certain issues that I want to be able to overcome for Africa, so I am going to focus on these particular issues, like gender inequality, so on and so forth? Or do you just go all across and cover
no,
off?
we focus on some major, most importantly for Girl Hub Africa, we're focusing on unemployment. Because that's it for me. I'm passionate about that. The unemployment rate, the rate at which is increasing in Nigeria is alarming. And we keep saying, if you volunteer, if you expose yourself enough, you will get that employment and you will be gainfully employed where you will be happy to work in. You see some people saying, oh, I have a 9-to-5, but I just work. I have a side hustle which I enjoy. But when you start volunteering early enough, you find where you have a passion. And then you groom yourself in that place. So when you come out, it's easy for you to find a job and you're happy working. Not saying I'm just working because of the pay. No, you're actually happy doing that thing. And then you find women that work well. And when women work well, we know how that goes.
Speaking of women working well, there's a false narrative that says that women don't support women. And you work with lots of women. Now, unfortunately, there's still many people, I know very educated people, who still hold on to this belief. I would say that, personally, I don't believe it, because a lot of the people who have influenced my career today are women.
Exactly.
Exactly. So you've worked with women and
still working.
You still work with women. Sometimes, though, we must add that there are times when our emotions come into play. How are you able to handle it? And truly, do women support women? From your perspective?
From my perspective, I would say women do support women. It's about the person. It's about you. If you believe it, you start acting it out. So when you believe Olive is not supporting me, then you start acting it. You don't know, but truly you are, because it's what you think in your mind already. So it shows in your actions.
All of this, it also comes back to what we were saying earlier about self-validation.
Exactly.
And how we always end up questioning ourselves, and we don't realize how much pressure we are putting on ourselves. You know. But what I like to say as well is, when you get to the top floor in your chosen career, always send the elevator back down for other women to rise, because your chosen career may be someone else's desired career. True. So I feel as though if every woman followed that motto and that memo of life, then of course women will support women.
Ali Baba did put up something today on Instagram, and he said your success is not complete until you've helped other people succeed.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
So if you're out there and thinking, you're just out there to make your light shine, if your light hasn't shown in such a way that other people have felt the impact of your light, then your light is just a little candle. So let's talk about your projects now.
Yes.
Some people seeing you talking and hearing the fact that you're a lawyer, I'm going to out you on TV, I like to do this a lot. Hearing you talking, so elegantly and elaborately, they forget the fact that you're young, you're really young. You're 21.
Yes, I'll be 22 in 2 days, yes.
Yes,
20th
congratulations.
Of April.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So it makes me question myself and ask, what was I doing with myself when I was 22? So what are your plans for your 22nd birthday?
Okay, for my 22nd birthday, first of all, while I was 21, that was in December, I volunteered for the Girls Aid Initiative in Apapa, where they call Ajegunle Apapa, that area. And I interacted with the young adults there, the teenagers. They just finished their work, and we were talking. And I realized most of the young girls were saying, I would say this in Yoruba, but I would interpret. Rowo koshe. That means we don't have money to learn a skill. If not, we will learn a skill and use the money to send ourselves to school. They're enthusiastic. They're willing to go to school, but they don't have the money. Their parents don't even have the money. So I thought about it and said, I have the time, and my volunteers have skills, and we're professionals. We're also going to have our 1-year anniversary on the 20th.
Congratulations.
Yes. So we thought about it and said, okay, let's do something. Let's give back.
Wait, you're barely 1 year.
Yes.
Wow.
And you've done all of this? Over 1,000 youths?
Yes, we
300 volunteers?
Yes, we have.
I have to clap for you.
Thank you.
That is amazing.
Amazing, absolutely amazing.
Thank you. So we thought about it and said, what if the skills we have learned over time, what if we give back to these people so they can use it for themselves? We don't have the money to train over 3,000 young people that don't have money to go to school. But we know if we give them a skill, and not just train them on that skill, train them also how to use the skill to make money. train them on that. So we thought about it and we said, okay, let's do this for them. So it's called My Leading 22. We're led by the Spirit to train them on these skills.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay, so My Leading 22, what is it about?
It's a skill acquisition program for 100 young adults to train them on basic skills that can help them in life.
So what
on a long
constitutes
road.
as a basic skill?
Vocational skills. Now we have the adire making, we have the makeup, we have the carpentry, like I said earlier. We have over 22 vocational skills. We have chair making. Okay, that's under carpentry. We have cooking. We have catering. We have photography. We have a lot of these skills that these people want to learn. And when we asked them, we realized that they actually know lots of skills, but they want to learn it, and there's no money for them to learn. So we just reached out to some professionals and some of our people who are professionals to please help us train these young people so they can make headway in life.
Now, we also know about gender bias when it comes to certain professions.
Yes.
Certain professions are considered as male-dominated professions
True.
or solely for
Very
men,
true.
and vice versa for women as
Very
well.
true.
Now, how do you overcome that? And how do you show your volunteers and the people that you train that you can do whatever you want to do? You're a woman, and if you want to study carpentry, you can do so. Nobody says you can't. How do you go about that?
That's where the testimonies from our volunteers come in. When our volunteers start testifying that I'm a woman, but I've been able to do this because I volunteered, I've been able to do that because I volunteered, they start wondering, oh, I'm young and my mother is telling me not to do shoemaking because I am a girl. I've seen a volunteer of ours is making excellent shoes, like amazing shoes as a lady. But somebody would have told her earlier that it's for guys. Shoemaker, when you call shoemaker on your street, it's a man you see, you don't see a woman. But now she's doing very good. So our testimonies, first of all, make people believe that what a man can do, a woman can really do better. And even more, because we're doing more these days.
Brilliant. All right, so now let's talk about the benefits of volunteering. So I'm watching you and I'm thinking, I want to volunteer, but really, I need finances. I need money to survive. I need a job. Now, many people are out of school and thinking, I can't do that job. It's beneath me. It's too low for me. But I've been at an event, Pink Ball concert last year.
The blue and pink.
I was talking about Pink and Blue Ball, yes. Raising awareness for infertility. Yeah. And you were there working as an usher. That was where I took note of you. And doing it so much with all your heart. Yes. If someone were to ask you, why do I need to volunteer? What will you say to them to convince them to volunteer?
The benefits are enormous. If we start talking today, I don't think I will end. Well, first of all, for the young graduates, like you mentioned, those that are in school, you need that experience. These days, not so many companies start saying we want to do on-the-job training. You need that experience. So they will tell you 2-3 years experience. Where do you intend to get it? When you volunteer, even while you're in school, immediately you get out of school, when you volunteer, you gain that experience and put it in your CV. So when you apply for that job, you already have the experience ready. And then secondly, it helps your health. I've had so many of my volunteers saying, oh, I was depressed, but because I ventured into volunteering, I was able to come out of this thing. Not because they were talking to somebody or anything, but because they exposed themselves. So when you're depressed and you see another person being more depressed, you understand that your situation is better. Yeah. Do you understand? So volunteering helps people in a lot of ways, building your CV, your career. It helps you even know what you want to do, your passion. So for instance, you might like music, but because you volunteered and you see yourself in a medical field, you start liking medicine and you study medicine, you see you do good at it. So it's not about what you like, it's about what you have passion for. And when you volunteer, it brings out that passion in what you want to do.
So what if the passion is there, but some people want to volunteer and they're like, but how am I going to survive? How am I going to take care of myself because I'm not earning? How do you get about then telling these people or convincing these people to actually volunteer? And are there ulteriors for them in terms of maybe social entrepreneurship that they can tap into while volunteering so they can still, you know, get some funds in as well?
Volunteering encompasses a lot. First of all, with the networking you get, I always tell volunteers, you need to be deliberate. You need to be smart about volunteering. You cannot just
work
volunteer.
without network.
Exactly. You need to be smart. You don't just volunteer anywhere. You don't just volunteer anyhow. You need, okay, you're a volunteer, you don't have enough money to volunteer. And then anything that comes your way, you just want to volunteer. It doesn't happen like that. Think of yourself, what do I want to do? I want to be a beauty entrepreneur. Black Opal or one beauty agency is doing an event, and another medical outreach is doing an event. Where would you rather go to? You know what you want to do. You want to be a beauty entrepreneur. You go for the events and volunteer there. But I see some people, you don't have enough money, you are just here and there. You need to be deliberate and strategic about volunteering. When you're volunteering, know what you're volunteering for and where you're volunteering at. And know, okay, am I really going to gain as much experience that I need because I'm rendering this service for free. And you know, it takes a lot for you to render services for free because people are going to talk to you anyhow.
So do you support them with some sort of money? So this person doesn't have
Yes, sometimes I have to, personally.
Like a
I have
stipend.
to. Yes, personally I have to. But sometimes we also talk to the organizations that reach out to us and say, okay, if you can, we don't force it on you like we're volunteering, but if you want to, and most times the organizations are generous and just be like, okay, we'll just give them transportation and maybe feed them for the time being.
That's amazing.
Okay, so now let's look at Girl Hub Africa.
Yes.
You're less than a year, but you've been able to spread your tentacles even beyond Lagos.
Yes.
You've gone into other states. Can you tell us where people can find Girl Hub Africa?
Okay, we have Girl Hub Africa currently actively working in 8 states in Nigeria. And we have a hub in Ghana, and we have a hub in Tanzania. I keep telling people that so they will know we're not just Girl Hub Nigeria, Girl Hub Africa.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have Lagos, we have Ibadan, that's Oyo State, we have
That's my
Osun.
state.
Oh, really?
Amazing. We have Osun, we have Owerri, we have Calabar, we have Port Harcourt, we have Benin, and we have Abuja.
Wow.
Amazing.
All of them.
Yes.
And
All
you
in 1
founded
year.
them.
Yes, I did.
All in less than 1 year.
That's so overwhelming to
I
even
know.
take in. I'm so proud of you.
Thank
Wow.
you.
And you're
That's
just,
amazing.
okay, you're 22.
I'm 22
How are
already.
you
I'm
able
already
to
claiming
deal
it.
with handling people that are older than you? I'm sure a lot of your volunteers are older than you.
Many,
You have
many.
incidences where they're talking to you or talking down at you because of your age. How are
Funny
you able
enough.
to manage it?
Funny enough, the volunteers that I have, maybe because they have seen that this, well, notwithstanding the fact that she's young, she has been able to achieve enough. And we young ladies, when you see this person has achieved enough, you have to respect the person. And there's something about Girl Hub Africa. God has given us the grace that everybody respects everybody. So there's no I'm bigger than you or anything. It doesn't really
No
happen with
egos.
us. Everybody is just, we're sisters there. So it's just like a family coming together.
Like a sorority. That's
know.
beautiful. This is making me happy. Let me know how I can get involved, honestly.
Okay, thank
Brilliant.
you.
So yes, just like Leila, several other people want to get involved. How can they be involved with Girl Hub Africa?
Okay, if you want to be a part of Girl Hub Africa, we have various, because we have people that are working, we have people that are going to school, so we have different schedules. So we have the weekdays, we have the weekend volunteers, and we have the volunteers for special events. There are people that are just interested in want to create awareness for epilepsy, for rape, for things like that.
Oh, you
So
recently did the walk
against rape, yes, with Estajere, that's Women of Rivers. We did the work against rape with them. So if you want to get involved like that, you reach out to us, you send us a mail at girlhubafrica@gmail.com, and then we'll get back to you. You tell us, okay, I want to get involved this way, and we'll get back to you. You can send us a DM on Instagram. We're at Girl Hub Africa. There's no S, it's Girl Hub Africa. Send us a DM, and we'll get back to you too.
All
And
right.
recruitment starts for new recruits in all our chapters. On the 30th of April, our recruitment is opening up. So for those of you that want to join Girl Hub Africa, 30th of April, recruitment is coming up. So stay tuned to our Instagram pages, Facebook and Twitter pages. We're going to post the recruitment portal is going to be open on that day. Thank you.
Oh, wow. For a minute there, I thought you were now the new TV presenter. You did it with so much grace and so much class. It is
Thank
an
you. I've been
absolute-
watching Oli for a long time, so I'm getting used to her.
Well, you
Such
have
an
a
honor,
lot
really.
going for you.
Really.
Thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
really pleased and honored to be associated with you.
Thank you.
I think that your future is really bright and colorful, and I'm glad and proud of all that you've done. And all the Girl Hub Africa volunteers, we celebrate you, we support you, we
It's
encourage
anniversary
you.
on Friday, so you can wish them happy
Of course,
anniversary.
we'll give you a shout out on Friday. So happy anniversary ahead of time to all Girl Hub Africa volunteers. If you're watching and you want to be a part of this, you can follow them on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Girl Hub Africa. Recruitment starts on the 30th of April. You want to increase your CV. For every volunteering work I have done, it's in my CV. Every free job I have done, it's in my CV. And what it does, it makes your CV richer. So make sure you give back. The most important question you're asking in life is not what do I get, but what can I give? Thank you so much for joining us, Girl Hub
Thank
Africa.
you,
Thank
too.
you very
Oh, I
much.
just called you Girl Hub Africa. You know I did that.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love am.